Okay, I guess we'll get started here. Hello to everyone, and it's good to see you again. Because you so thoroughly intimidated me yesterday, I had to bring somebody to come help me co-present this. For those that don't know, I'm Seth Berman. I'm the CEO of Instantiations. Joined with me today is Mariano Martinez Peck, who, in addition to being a fantastic software engineer, also leads up uh, the VAST team as in the technical direction. And so we're excited to give you this update today because, you know, I'm going to be talking about, for my part, I'm going to be talking about the company, where we're headed, where we are now. And I'll start kind of going through the business piece of this, which, I think regardless of like what aspects of business might interest you or not interest you, or mostly technical, which Mariano will get to, I think it's I just want to impress that there's a story here that's evolving, a very intentional story at Instantiations, and we speak about it pretty much on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and so I think you'll get a glimpse of kind of where we're going. So we're going to do operational progress, new initiatives, and kind of the growing work that we're doing around AI. And then Mariano will take you through the details of the current VAST platform, the upcoming release of VAST, and we're really looking forward to showing you this evolving story. All right, so here's how we'll go through it. First, I'll talk a little bit about the company as it exists today and how we've been changing pretty radically as from an operational perspective. Then I will talk about all the we have many R&D projects in the works. Most of them relate to AI, not all of them. And we'll talk about how that connects to our two main business lines, which, for those that don't know, there's one business line is the VAST platform, which Mariano is the tech lead of, the software development environment. And then we have another business unit, a couple of folks from that business unit in fintech, kind of in the payment space. We serve a lot of the tier 1 and tier 2 banks in US and Canada. And that's a really exciting addition to Instantiations. A lot of great people have come over on that. And then after that, we're going to look at some new VAST offerings that we've actually, some of them we've released, some of them are about to be released, namely the forthcoming VAST compliance package. I'll talk a little bit about that. That's actually been released at this point. You've heard already the security scanning, and then we'll have, we've just released a VAST training program that's been in the works for probably over a year at this point, but we've now that's available for our customers. And finally, Mariano is going to cover off on current and upcoming VAST release pieces. So I'm really excited to share this update because Instantiations we're doing a lot of stuff. And what struck me was, this presentation, since we gave it at ESUG over the summer, is now all different. So we needed a brand new presentation. And that's a good problem to have, I suppose. So this last year, we've focused on improving how we operate as a company. That includes upgrading our infrastructure, tightening up our processes, and a big focus in the background at Instantiations has been on our SOC 2 work, which I'll explain more about. So last year, we got our SOC 2 Type 1 compliance attestation, and we're wrapping up our SOC 2 Type 2 by the end of the month. And so for anybody not familiar with SOC 2, it's essentially a big, giant external audit verifying how a company protects data and manages its internal processes and internal controls around security and reliability. So it's kind of a big deal when they come in and are doing this. So Type 1 basically confirms that you have these controls and that they're in place. Type 2 essentially proves that we're consistently following these controls. So you can think about it as a company maturity piece. And it's certainly changed how we run the company. We have clearer ownership, stronger internal reviews, and all that. And that's really a prerequisite, a ticket to the dance, so to speak, for a lot of the customers that we serve. Okay, so over the past 2 years, we've more than tripled the size of our staff, and we're still continuing to grow. We now have a much larger, vast team, a new fintech team, and sort of the operational and supporting staff around that. Uh, that kind of supports a fast-growing business with mature and dependable operations. And we're a very relational company. And so a lot of my time is actually spent um, building relationships, especially locally and Raleigh, with different companies that are kind of in the space we're at, or finding ways that we can help each other. And so our partner relationships continue to expand, creating sort of new opportunities, technical collaborations, and we use them heavily and they use us. So we've sort of also made very deliberate R&D investments in both AI and core VAS capabilities, as well as fintech and sort of all of our spaces to keep evolving in the right ways. And on the product side, so we're now able to actually deliver new product and services while we continue aggressive development. I would say that's one of the biggest changes to instantiations. We've always been really busy, but we now have the ability to be busy, but also get traction, and that's why we've been able to, release a lot of new services and new products and things of this. So everything I'll talk about, from the new VAS tools to our AI work, sort of builds on this foundation. Okay, so with that foundation in place, let's talk about kind of where we're going to go next, and we'll begin that with just a very brief trip to the past. So if we go back more than 40 years ago, before Instantiations was even founded, some of our founders were involved in AI work at the time, at Tektronix on systems like you see here, the Pegasus project. Now, AI looked very different back then, but the mindset was more or less the same. It's about building interactive, intelligent systems that made technology easier for people to use. And so we carry that spirit forward today into Instantiations. In fact, its founders in 1988 carried that spirit forward, and it influenced, how they thought, how we think today. And so whether it's the AI of the 1980s or the AI of 2025, our focus has always been and will always be on improving the human and developer experience. And so making complex technology accessible, explainable, and reliable is a big piece of what we do. So to extend that thought, we've always believed that technology should move people forward, not leave them behind. And I've heard some others here echo this sentiment. And that's really at the heart of how we think about AI. The AI-based technology we're developing, and I think it was said, and we totally agree, it's not about replacing people. It's actually about improving their experience, reducing the friction, and letting them focus on the work that actually matters. So think about it this way. Many of us in this room, myself included, have had to both develop and support products. And so, wouldn't it be nice if we could spend a little less time troubleshooting and a little more time creating new value and developing, doing the things we like to do? I mean, who wouldn't want that? And so actually the customers feel the same way, right? They want their systems to run smoothly so they can focus on growth, not on firefighting. And so that's what we mean by AI that moves people forward. It's about freeing developers, operators, customers alike to spend more time building, improving, innovating. So in short, AI should make the best parts of our job bigger, not replace them. All right, so our AI work is practical and grounded in what customers need. We're helping developers and operations teams work faster and smarter while keeping control over their systems. So most of our R&D in the areas of AI really center around privacy, security, and data ownership. Everything we're building runs locally, either on workstation, in a LAN, or in a private cloud, so customers maintain control of that data. And this approach comes from our history of supporting and now running mission-critical VAS systems, thanks to the fintech team. So we're engaged in a partner network of leading AI companies investing heavily in AI. And our current R&D focus includes in this area, let me make sure I didn't, went too far. All right, so our current R&D focuses are, we have a new Instantiations AI platform. We haven't, that probably won't be the name when it's released, but that's what we're calling it for now. And that will be the foundation that will host and connect our AI components across VAST, FinTech, and future product lines. So this platform is what allows us to manage AI securely, deploy it consistently, give customers the actual control over where it runs, how it runs. It provides decisioning auditing, so that way that AI reasoning engine is explainable, which is often needed for regulatory issues. And some of the more concrete things that we've built that are using this platform are right now in the areas of image processing. So we have, especially for document-heavy fintech and insurance workflows, we've trained custom models, and we've integrated that into the platform. We're also really deeply now invested. In fact, we've got some new staff coming on to help us with this, with the code intelligence and generation piece to improve developer productivity and the experience in VAST. And all of this follows the same philosophy, basically, of reliability and accountability. And that's kind of what we're shooting for. So yeah, we've been integrating AI into VAST for some time. And so now we're kind of getting to the next phase of that. So our current roadmap and something we're just beginning is to actually, we've used internally VAST and VAST, we've used a lot of AI tools. We more or less understand the current, given the current models that are out there, how far we can get with a lot of the tools. So we're going to actually be running several iterations to fine tune a large language model trained specifically on VAST. And that model will power our new Copilot-like tools, developer assistance, automations inside VAST. So naturally, when you build and fine tune models and you iterate, it's an iterative process that requires a lot of experimentation, and we'll experiment and see how much better it gets us to do that. We're also working towards kind of a knowledge system to help organizations manage and modernize very large and mature environments built on languages like Smalltalk and Java and COBOL. And in domains such as banking and insurance, we're developing a human-guided kind of decision automation and AI-enhanced OCR. Then that's basically for better document understanding. Planned models include risk scoring, anomaly detection, automated workflows, fraud prevention, and many other areas. A major focus, as I hinted before, is an audit trail in the decision engine, so customers can always see why a particular decision was made. And transparency, this transparency really for us is absolutely necessary based on the kinds of folks that we serve. Compliance and regulatory issues it's a growing area. It's not getting any less complex, it's getting more complex. And so all of this shows how we're kind of using AI for those purposes. Okay, so I think this slide speaks to what I think is kind of the most important kind of shift that's happening right now. We're kind of entering a new area where technology and culture intersect more closely than ever. And so adopting AI, and you see this in the news and in various ways, and if you just think about it, we all know it's not just about technical change. It's a cultural shift that every company will have to make. And so at Instantiations, we see this as an opportunity to strengthen the culture that we already have, one built on learning, experimentation, collaboration. So, and for those, as a CEO, that's something that I think about at night. I wake up morning thinking about essentially how we make sure people have the space and the tools to explore and adapt as this technology evolves. So I like to say culture change doesn't happen in a single 1,000-minute meeting. It happens through 1,001-minute conversations. And so that's how we really encourage at Instantiations to experiment, to let us know how your experiments are going, make sure tools are available, and so on. So that's what this is really about, empowering teams to explore and adjust and create the future together. And you'll see how that culture shows up sort of in the next few slides as we talk a little bit more about the VAST training program, the security scanner, which you've probably seen that already, that talk, and the compliance package. All right, so many of the ideas behind these offerings sort of have been in the motion for the past few years. What's different now, as I sort of explained, is we're actually in a much better position to act on those ideas, to take customer feedback, recognize those patterns, and we now have the right operations in place to be able to turn that into real tangible results for these kinds of programs. So the VAST platform itself, of course, has always had a strong delivery track record, and that hasn't changed. What's matured is our overall delivery engine and how we take ideas beyond the core platform, turn them into both products and services that make a difference for the actual customer set. So these new offerings reflect that growth. They're practical, they're customer driven, and sort of built around the way that people actually use and work with VAST. So together they strengthen not only the product, but also the entire ecosystem of support and engagement. And so let's go ahead and take a look at some of these, specifically the compliance package, security scanner, and the training program, and each one addressing kind of a different aspect of how customers build trust, improve security, and grow their teams. So the VAST compliance package is built for compliance, risk, and vendor management teams that need to move quickly through audits and vendor reviews. It's a separate offering because this work kind of goes well beyond how the platform itself runs. It's about giving customers the evidence their auditors and risk teams require. And so, as a quick note, I mean, this is one of the areas where a commercial engine is kind of necessary, right? In regulated environments, auditors look for a vendor of record who accepts responsibility, provides attestations, and can be assessed essentially for vendor risk. So they're expected to sign documentation, SOC 2 reports, security test results, SBOMs, change management records, basically delivered by a party that can be contractually held accountable. And so enterprises also need incident response commitments, background checked support staff, and when required, indemnification and insurance, all of which are really core to a commercial relationship. And so regulators and procurement teams require an accountable vendor for due diligence and audits and ongoing risk management. And so concretely, this package aligns VAST with a lot of these acronyms you see here, these compliance frameworks. And so this is essentially what's being demanded of us as a vendor. And as I said, the world versus 2 decades ago has only gotten more complex in this area. And so this was a place where we needed to give our customers a solution to this. And so basically what it does is it saves time and reduces friction for audits and vendor evaluations from our customer. All right, well, I won't go too much into this because we've already had a talk about it, but the VAST Security Scanner is a new source code security tool currently built in our static analysis engine, and that will be evolving, and it helps developers identify potential vulnerabilities. It's fully integrated into VAST, uses static analysis to detect common issues before they would reach production. And really, the reporting engine is really neat. I mean, if you saw, some of how that can be customized, it's the teams can extend the rule framework as well to match their own standards. So it's really not about adding process per se. It's about giving developers the visibility and control that they need, and sort of fits our philosophy of build security in development, make it measurable, make it part of your everyday work. And it also reflects our culture. Developers owning quality and security, supported by tools that actually make that practical. Okay, and this is really exciting. We just released this one, but it's been in the works for a long time because it takes a long time to build the materials for this and get it into a nice package that can be released. So this is actually a year or more in the making, I believe. The VAST training program, it's a 5-day instructor-led virtual course designed to give developers real hands-on experience with the VAST platform. So it combines, live instruction with more than 20 guided exercises, covering everything from core object concepts to advanced IDE and NV usage. And we created this program because we have many organizations that depend on VAST, and the teams were just telling us, they needed a structured way to onboard new developers and strengthen consistency basically across all the experience levels. So this course starts with object concepts and language frameworks, then sort of moves through building applications and debugging, touches on frameworks and collections and streams. It sort of ends with a team development using Envy. So it's not just theory; it's about modern development practices. So we include unit testing and profiling, coding standards, and refactoring. The instructors bring decades of Smalltalk experience, showing not just how to code, but how to approach design and debugging effectively in VAST. And so it's sort of designed for every level. New developers learn object-oriented principles and the VAST environment from scratch. Experienced teams refresh their Smalltalk knowledge and apply new practices. And mixed teams build a shared foundation that improves collaboration and code quality. So the program helps organizations build kind of future-ready teams that can maintain and extend mission-critical applications confidently. And we're really glad to finally be able to meet this need because it's something that's been asked of us for a long time. Okay, so these are the new offerings, and you kind of see I've given you a good overview of kind of the operations and the way instantiations has been changing and growing, the kinds of things we care about. And so now we're gonna look specifically at how that same focus on improvement shows up in the VAST platform itself. So everything we've discussed, comes together in the VAST platform. And so Mariano will now walk us through what's new and what's coming up on the roadmap.
Thank you. Okay. Yes. So I think it was pretty amazing that in addition to the vast training, the compliance package, the security scanner, our daily support activities, we were still able to make a solid release. The VAS platform 2025, 14.00. This is our latest major release. So I will just go very quickly on this list. I would like to go quickly and maybe keep some minutes for questions. So on this latest release, there is some kind of highlights items. One of the things we did the image side and also in the virtual machine is to improve the weak finalization. Now we are using an adaptive queue that made the finalization require far less garbage collectors runs. So that was significantly faster for customers that deal with a lot of finalization mechanism on objects. We continue evolving the Unicode support library, the kind of the both at the lowest level and also all of the integrations on top of Unicode. So there's always improvements on every release on this area. We have a new hash engine. We have new primitives for SHA 256, 512. We refactoring some of the internal classes. So now there's a nice uncommon API with some fast primitive assisted algorithms. Another thing we continue to improve in almost every release is the support for multi-monitor and high DPI. This is always a challenge. It's a very, very complicated topic. We are fixing things all the time. It's really took us a lot of time, and it's something that we're still working, as I said, on almost every release. Then there was a little bit of the URL encoder, kind of refactoring new classes, and there's some big activity there. On LDAP, we had the support for callbacks, which was pretty cool. Page searching, which was requested by a couple of customers. We did add a full integration of Unicode in Seaside and Greece. This was kind of a second phase of a project that we started, I think, in the previous release in Bath 13. But again, it's kind of evolving. At this point, I would say it's pretty much done, unless, of course, there could be issues. I would say that Unicode is completely now integrated in Seaside and Greece in Vast. In this latest release, we also kind of gave official support for SQL Server via ODBC. This we had many customers already using it, but it was not kind of our official platform. So now we run all of our tests in this platform. And again, many improvements in Oracle in a lot of different areas. We also added a new little library. It's called sort functions. I know if you used it before. There's something Esteban took. It's very convenient to. It's a nice API to do sorting with multiple criteria. So if you want to check it out, it's there. And then what happened is that we wanted to release a patch release, what would have been a 14.01, but in the middle we realized that we wanted to do a few new features, so we didn't call it 14.10, which would be a patch release. We still did a minor release. We call it 14.10. And this release was kind of in the middle of the year, maybe a little bit more, and it includes some fixes, but also, as I said, some small features. So there were a lot of enhancements and fixes in the database area, internal rechecks, mostly related to Unicode, if I remember. Continue with high DPI and multi-monitor. We added a new feature for the code assist, which was also required for the security scanner, so that you can plug your own analysis on the code assist. So that's why the security scanner can create their own highlight and say, okay, this is not secure or whatever. So that was cool because now the security scanner was be able to be built on top of 14.10. More improvements in Unicode, as I said, for Seaside and Greece, and some stability fixes on the VM. And finally, for the next release, what we are, the feature that we already did, so these are certain to happen, is JSON Web Tokens, OAuth 2, and OpenID Connect, as you saw in the talk from Esteban yesterday. So all those three are done. Redis, as you also saw it yesterday from Seth. Parasol is a way to unit test Seaside. We are including that into the product. And then some that are planned, but we will see if we have the time to address those, is WebSockets. We have a lot of Unicode improvements that I'm guessing that those will happen. We are half done. And some, we also want to port the latest Seaside before releasing. We always like to kind of port the latest Seaside. And I think that's it. So thank you, everyone, and we are open for questions.
I'm curious about this compliance package. So let's say I have the VAS platform and I have a product, and the product I'm offering to customers have these compliances requirements. So the end customer, well, I don't know, maybe I'm complicating the thing. So what would this package do?
So a lot of that depends on what you need or require from your third-party vendors. In this case, let's say it's Instantiations. Do you need to have the ability, or somebody you deal with, the ability to audit us? Do you need to be able to pass us various SIGs with 1,000 questions, which my CISO then needs to be able to answer, and we go back and forth with provide us evidence of this on question 833, and it's a very long engagement. So normally, without the compliance package, we were not open to those kinds of things. Those were Those were too expensive for our company. And essentially, we had, because if you consider our pricing model, it's a couple of decades old, and we've really only adjusted it for inflation. But as these compliance and regulatory pieces have really ramped up, especially over the last decade, we didn't want to say no any longer. We wanted to help the folks that we work with, but we needed to do it in a way that made sense for a business. And so that's what the compliance package solves. It's a extra add-on for those folks that need to engage with us in that way, that need to have the ability to rest that risk at our doorstep. And that's basically what it provides.
Thank you.
And I know we are all developers, so when we hear the word package, maybe we're thinking about a software package. So just to minimize confusion, this is more like a services offering. So we will put in someone's time, which is a CISO most likely, to go over your questions or your documents. So it's more like a service package that we will help you to align to those standards or requirements that you need. Maybe that also clarifies.
But yes, but that would be on the Vast platform, nothing to do with the application I built on top of Vast, right?
Correct. For S-bomb, for example, if you ask for an X-bomb, a bill of materials, it will be on the Vast side. Yes.
But oftentimes, at least we've seen, and it may not be your case, but there's kind of a chain, a vendor chain, right? Your third, your fourth party kinds of folks. So we're willing to play in that space now with what we've got.
From the talk that Alejandro gave the other day on code auditing for Bast, I got the impression that it was intended, or at least it was possible to use that tools on customer application code. Did I get that wrong?
The security scanner?
Yeah.
No, yes, that's exactly the use case.
So it is for application code.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the security scanner, yes, absolutely. The idea is that you would run the security scanner on your own code, and then you generate the report, and that's what the third parties usually require. So
Okay.
thank you very much.